Gavin is getting cooked for the Ben Shapiro episode. I really can't stress this enough. The left needs to fight back against his run for president with everything we have. He would be an unmitigated disaster and usher in someone like Nick Fuentes as his successor. Yeah, he's going to have Nick Fuentes as his vice president, okay? That if this trajectory holds, by the time he runs for president in 2028, if we have elections at all, Nick Fuentes is going to be his VP pick. In the interest of Nazi bipartisanship. Here's proof of him standing for nothing.
Was a narrative that was immediately pushed by the Trump administration and Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem that she was a domestic terrorist who was attempting to run over officers with her car and was legitimately trying, not just this officer, but multiple officers. That was the original statement. I said at the time, I thought that was untrue. And then your press office tweeted out that it was state-sponsored terrorism, which, I mean, Governor, I do have to ask you about that. Yeah. That sort of thing makes our politics worse.
Yeah.
No, Ben. What makes our politics worse is a narcissistic pedophile defending Israel dick riding president who only cares about the interests of billionaires, fomenting racialized hatred towards our neighbors, and then seeking the fattest Gestapo agents anyone's ever seen in random Minnesota suburbs. Not calling it terrorism, which is what it fucking is. Shut the fuck up. Why are liberals giving this man a fucking platform and trying to revitalize his career? Do you want to eat Israel's dick that fucking hard? Oh my God, because there's no reason for this racist, white supremacist piece of shit to get any fucking breathing room on mainstream television, on liberal outlets, unless you are CNN and you realize that it's really fucked up that Ben Shapiro lost his audience because his audience realized, oh, if we hate everybody, we hate the Jews too. And they started hating on him. And the reason why you are revitalizing his career is because you want someone to do fascism the right way. And the guy who's going to do fascism the right way, i.e., where you do fascism for everybody but Israel, okay, and you defend Israeli fascism, is Ben Shapiro. Oh my fucking God, I hate this shit. It's so transparent. The only difference between Ben Shapiro and Nick Fuentes is Nick Fuentes hates Jews. Ben Shapiro is Jewish. Nick Fuentes at least says he hates Israel. Ben Shapiro loves Israel. And it's ironic for the Democrats because hating Israel is the 80% position here. So why the fuck are you like, oh yeah, you know the Republican operative I need to prop up is the one that literally is just as racist as every other fucking neo-Nazi, except he loves Israel. Ah! What the fuck? At least if you're going to prop up a Republican that's just as racist as the rest of them, get fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene on board. At least she says fuck Israel and is seemingly more open-minded about social, like expanding social welfare. You know? Fuck. And I don't even want to platform her either. How about none of that? You know? Fucking hell, dude. Who is this for is the question I keep asking myself. Who is this for? And then you get this guy on, and then you agree with him that ICE is not terrorist at a time when the majority wants ICE to be fucking abolished. You got normie Barbaras and Debras in the fucking suburbs sipping wine and going out with a box of Franzia to go fucking yell at the Heil Titler Brigade. And Gavin Newsom, with all of his ambitions for a higher office, is sitting around being like, you know what? Oh, I'm disavowing myself. I'm disavowing my previous statement at a time when it's at its peak popularity. Oh. God, I fucking hate the Democrats so much. It is so unbearable, dude. Fuck! Oh. Establishment Democrats are cancer. Saw a tweet that said, has Newsom ever been grilled by an actual leftist and the only answer people had was the Lemonade Stand podcast? Yeah, I mean, the Lemonade Stat podcasts are not going to be as contentious with Gavin Newsom. They're not wrong. They're great. Okay. I love those guys. But they're not going to fucking grill Gavin Newsom. They're not going to ask him super hard questions. The only time he's actually been grilled is by Connor Eats Pants, ironically enough. Okay. Donor class is torn between running Gavin Newsom for the abundance agenda and bombs over Israel, or running Josh Shapiro on the abundance agenda and support for Israel. If no one is willing to stop this, we should literally run Bernie on life support. I mean, Bernie's going to run on no abundance, Medicare for all, but also support for Israel agenda. So that's great. Yeah, Mecca Bernie rises up and he's still maintaining the liberal Zionist position for some reason. Everyone around him is like, dude, Israel is poisonous. It's cancer. What the fuck are you doing? And Bernie's like, nope, I'm standing firmly on my commitment to the idea of labor Zionism. I went to the compounds. I went to the communes. I'll have you know, the USSR supported Israel at one point. Did you know that? These guys were socialist. I was in the kibbutz. Yes, as long as we replace Benjamin Netanyahu with an opposition figure that is Benjamin Netanyahu 99% of the way, I'm happy. I'm happy with the results. In some ways, he's just as stubborn as you. Yes, stubbornness is a superpower if you have a good understanding of what is happening around the world, and you can still maintain some ideological impurity as well, where you can like change your mind on things. Okay. If you're stubborn in the wrong direction, you turn out to be like Bernie on the liberal Zionist hill. And that sucks. Bernie is literally the sock time duped by National Socialists and refusing to acknowledge it. I don't even know what the full extent of his perspective is on this stuff, but you know, exactly. I didn't want to say nothing, but you know, we know an example of a stubborn, prideful person that has, maintained the wrong hill. Bases are loaded and these dudes are bunting and going real issues. These are masked agents who shot a woman in the face and are tearing people out of their homes. Is polling approved issues tee. Yeah, the fucking polled issues are the masked agents.
Still giving floor speeches over there after hours.
Wait. No, Castro's pretty good. Castro's fucking solid, weirdly enough. So I'm confused. If his take is there's a lot going on, ICE agents are abusing our communities and the nation is at the brink of forever wars. None of this is leaving folks in San Antonio better off. We need to focus on making healthcare affordable. That's a good take. No, this is like, he's been there, actually. Joaquin Castro is unironically solid. Yeah, no, his take is good. He's saying, why the fuck are we giving ICE money to terrorize our communities? We should spend it on healthcare. That's solid. I don't know if he says anything else in the video, but if that's the summarization of events, then I'm on board with that. That's a great talking point. Bro, you talking about AOC holding a position and not letting it go? The defensive weapons? No, I wasn't even talking about AOC. I think AOC's biggest problem is that she's not more stubborn and not more aggressive. Speaking of aggressive AOC, there was a person who was in AOC's corner back in the day that was very stubborn and very aggressive. Although there are, some setbacks I have or some skepticisms that I have, like running against a DSA endorsed candidate, or funding a candidacy against a DSA endorsed candidate. Psychot is the person I'm talking about. I will be having him on the broadcast to see what his positions are. Castro is not great research. No, Castro is great on this issue. That's what I'm saying. He's been on the fuck ice tip. And not only is he on the, has he been on the fuck ice tip, but he also is like pretty good on healthcare too, if I remember correctly. Yes, AOC needs to stop reading her replies. That's number one. And stop responding to people on the internet. And also save that energy for, I don't know, fucking Congress. Shit on Trump, shit on all these people, which she does. But I wish she was way more aggressive in holding holding these like key positions and be unafraid to take a position in the dark that might come across as like alienating. Like foreign policy is the weakest side of every American Democrat. There is not a single American Democratic Party member that is like good on foreign policy. Oh, that's not true. Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, there's a couple, right? There's a couple. But I think AOC is too risk averse for sure. All right, this is getting too cute now. I get the whole talk about ICE in the context of affordability and healthcare thing, but also talk about ICE and what's happening in Minneapolis and stop trying to do this clever little game. Plenty of time later to do this. Trump has now spent $30 billion of the... No, I think it's fine to talk about how much money they're fucking wasting on this neo-Nazi brigade. Not to derail, but do you plan on doing Scott Jennings on Taft's? Not today. Remember, I have a fundraiser dinner to attend. If AOC hires Daniel Bessner as her foreign policy advisor or trust her more, that'd be insane. Is that even in question? That would be so sick. She's going to go with Matt Duss. If there is a thing like that. Still better than 99.9% of Congress, let's be real. And I know everybody hates Matt Duss in here, but you need more edge. You need more edge. But let's be real. Foreign policy, unfortunately, is not the primary thing here. Like nobody cares enough about foreign policy.
I mean, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, our ICE officers obviously are not terrorists.
Yeah.
A tragic situation is not state-sponsored terrorism.
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom walks back calling ICE operation state-sponsored terrorism. God damn, dude. Oh, brother. Why is he trying to revive Ben Shapiro? Because it's the same reason why they're trying to revive Ben Shapiro on CNN. Because he's the right kind of Republican, okay? The Republican that isn't anti-Israel and anti-Semitic. Well, I guess Ben Shapiro doesn't give a shit about anti-Semitism either, as long as they're pro-Israel. Let's be real. Gavin Newsom is trying to fucking position himself as like a responsible moderate. It is so crazy. The time in front of us does not require becoming a moderate with the current unimaginably right-wing prospects of a fascist American future. Okay? The time right now is for action, is for bold, radical action in the direction of common sense. Common sense is not firmly planted on the right. As a matter of fact, it's firmly planted on the far left, okay?
Rudy Giuliani's point of view, who made the point as an advocate for sanctuary policy when he was mayor of New York. He said it keeps people safer, healthier, and more educated. Safer in the context that it allows community members.
I bet you fuck dogs. You abuse your dog. Ew, dude. What the fuck? Why are you posting your fucking weird bestiality fetish in the chat? Gross.
to be more likely to participate as witnesses of crime or victims of crime in going after the perpetrators, more likely to get an immunization shot if they're not worried about the nurse turning them over to ICE, more likely to go to school and get educated if they're not worried about the school crossing guard crossing them and ultimately turning them over to ICE. So it's the tool of pragmatism because of the complete abject failure of the federal government. A sanctuary policy is unnecessary if we had comprehensive immigration reform and we had a federal response that was adequate to the task. But in the absence of that, it's grown from the 70s and 80s and 90s, 2000s. And obviously I got here as governor and we had an established.
Glazing Rudy Giuliani's demented? No, it's like saying amnesty is good. Ronald Reagan did it. It's just, I don't have an issue with that messaging because it's still pro-sanctuary cities. Okay? If you're going to be pro your own fucking actual policy, utilizing a famous Republican who was an advocate for that same policy is not necessarily a bad thing. Remember the Ronald Reagan mention, because I think if the Democrats move in the appropriate direction, they'll talk about conditional amnesty and they'll bring up Ronald Reagan quite frequently.
Framework before I got here.
But it is true that sanctuary policy obviously has had a massive impact as a driver of tremendous number of illegal immigrants in the state of California.
I don't know about that. I mean, you see in a lot of states that don't have sanctuary policies, huge increase in immigration, illegal immigration, massive increases, even far greater than the state of California. Just look as an example. But
in terms of the cost structure, I mean, you recently, for example, had to freeze the enrollment of undocumented immigrants in state health systems to save money, right? I mean, these are major burdens. No,
that's a separate issue. There are 12 states that provide health care for undocs, and we believe in universal health care regardless of pre-existing conditions.
My only point is that the cost structure is extraordinarily burdensome.
But I don't think it's in unpacking it. I don't think it's the sanctuary policies that are driving that.
He was pressed on trans rights too. Ugh.
Why does the parent not have
3 minutes on trans rights? No, thank you.